Hey host, so in today's video it is my very first makeup tutorial. It's also going to be a review, and I will be reviewing the KimChi Chic Beauty, the original launch, which is a palette, some liquid eyeshadows, and some lip glosses. So if you want to see how I got this look and my thoughts on the entire collection of the KimChi Chic Beauty original release, stay tuned and watch the rest of the video. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so we're going to start on the eyes, and for eyeshadows, I recommend at least 3 different brushes just for like the crease part. You just want this for blending purposes. You can use as many as you want. I think the most I've ever done is 5 because I used 5 different colors or mixing of colors, because again, you want a gradient to make it look as smooth as possible and as blended out as possible. But before we actually start on the actual eyes, we're going to do the eyebrows. And so I have this tiny little baby makeup pencil. I don't even know where it's from because I've used it so much I've shaved all of it off. This is what I use every day for my actual eyebrows, but I'm obviously going to be doing a very different shape because my crease goes over where my actual eyebrows are. So I like to start kind of in the general area of where my actual eyebrow would start, but instead of going out, I'm going to go up with it. And then out. I like a really well angled, kind of bitchy looking brow. So that's the bottom. You can see that's kind of our general shape. And then this is the side where it gets interesting because my makeup is always really bad on my left side. Well, it's not really bad, but it's never as good as the right side. So you can see that's kind of the general shape for the eyebrows. They will not actually be this close together because I am going to go in again with the Beauty Blender and some highlight shade to kind of blend out the ends of them. But for right now, I just kind of am going to fill them in like I normally would, just like you're going to plop them on there. And then also another thing that can help with making them not look like you just blocked on color is you can kind of just leave the front not quite as filled in. I still put a little bit of product on there because I'm going to go over this with some eyeshadows later. You can see they're not perfect. They are not twins. They're cousins at best. But if people care enough and are close enough to criticize you on it, they are also close enough to hand you money. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill them in with eyeshadow. And this is the Morphe 35K palette. And I just use this flat synthetic brush. Again, this is what I use every day. And none of these shades are labeled. This palette has seen better days. I've dropped this, I don't even know how many times. So half the shadows are gone, but the 3 that I use are still there. So I use this shade right here. And this is what I use in the front. You're just going to go in, and then I just fill in. Really, you could fill in the whole thing if you want, because you're just going to go back over with the darker shades anyway. I'm not one of those people that draws on individuals' hairs on my eyebrow. If you are one of those people, good for you. You go ahead and do that. But then I take these 2 shades right here, and I just kind of mix them together. And that's what I use to do kind of like the tail. And I go a little bit before where they arch out. I see we're going to go and clean that up in a minute with concealer. But for right now, I'm just going to I'm not going to put any extra product on here. I don't know why I picked this up. But just go ahead and kind of blend out the ends of the eyebrows. And you can see it gives it a little bit more space, but it will take away or it will sit on top of the highlighting powder that we put on earlier. So I'm just going to go back in with the same highlighting powder. And I'm just going to go straight in with the shimmery one because that's what I put right here. And just go ahead, add that in. Blend it out a little bit more. Kind of just want to recreate what you had before. But you can see, you can't, like, it looks more intense on camera than it really does in person. So you can't really tell that I put on more products ahead. Like right now it looks crazy on camera, but oh well, it looks fine in person. And then we're just going to take a flat synthetic sort of angled brush. We're going to take the same concealer that I used before, which is the Born This Way sculpting concealer, and then we're going to go under the shape that we want. So this is where you can clean up anything. And then this also highlights the brow bone, which this is not my natural brow bone, but this is what's going to become the brow bone. And then what I do is I will take again, a flat, fluffy brush. This is the Sugar Pill Large Eyeshadow Brush. And I take the Sugar Pill shade in Taco, which is this really nice white shade. And I will set under the brows with white. These are a bit far apart. It's not quite as far apart as I think it's supposed to be this one. And again, if you have to, you can always go back over whatever you need to. Don't even bother filling that in, really. I just want to add a little bit more in the front of this brow. Easy. That brings it a little bit closer in. They don't look quite as far apart. I'm going to also touch up. The next step is still with the brows, is we're going to go in with a neutral shade kind of here and feather it out a little bit. I just want the ends to be super white, so I'm going to use this palette in the shade Natural, which is exactly what it sounds like, just a very light neutral shade. So these two shades aren't really looking the way I want them to look. I'm trying there a little bit too on the red side. So what I'm going to go ahead and try is just going back to our contour kit. And I'm just going to use the shimmery shade. I'm just going to go in there, blend it out a bit. Yeah, you can see it doesn't take away too much of the intensity, but it does take away some of it. And again, you can use whatever you want. You can use like a foundation, like a powder foundation shade to do this. I don't like to take away too much of the intensity. I like really intense brows, and most of this is going to be covered up by my crease anyway, so I'm not overly worried about it. And so now we're actually going to start the eye makeup. So in this big fluffy brush, which is the Sugar Pill Tapered Blending and Crease brush, we're going to go back into that shade Natural. And I'm going to try and keep this as a fairly light look. Like I don't think I'm going to use a lot of black. I think I'm going to use pretty much just browns. I want it to stay fairly light. And then the way I do my eye shape is I kind of just go up and around over where my natural eyebrows are, which is pretty high up in my eye, because I do have very small hooded eyelids, so I can't use my natural features, otherwise you won't see anything. And then from here, from the corner of my eye and a little bit below, I'm just going to put that shade and go out a bit, because I want my eye to kind of extend out to a point, because I'm trying to make my face look more elongated and kind of snatched, if you will. But you can kind of see that shape, like it goes out here, stops here, goes out and around. And then we'll come back to blend this out with the white. Yeah, that white is not looking right. This white is looking really faded in person, so I'm going to go ahead. I really think that concealer was just still too wet. I'm going to go back in with that really flat synthetic kind of concealer type brush. And just really pack the white in there, yeah, because you want it to be a little bit intense. Yeah, so that looks better. So that's about as much of the natural as I'll put. I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side now. Okay, so now we have our base color put down. You can see it's extremely light. So this will not be, well, so this will be the outmost color. I'm going to put another shade on right outside, like right inside the edges of it. And that's going to be this shade right here, Toast, which is just a little bit darker. So we're going to take Toast, which is, again, just a little bit darker. And we're just going to put that in the same general area as natural, but not quite as far out. So you're just going to kind of follow the same lines. But I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of my eyeshadow like I do, or like I did with natural. The next part before we get too far ahead is we're going to blend the white into natural. Well, anyway, onto blending out the white. You can see it's blending a little bit on its own, but it's still like white and this brown shade. So what you do is you dip it into the same white that we used, just a little bit, tap off a little bit of the extra. I tapped off a little too much. But you just want, like you can see, it's a tiny little bit. And then you go into natural, or whatever outer shade you're going to use, and you just blend so lightly right on the edge there. You can see that really brings it together. And you can, if you go too far down with the white, you can go back in with natural, but you want it to be as blended as possible between the white and whatever your outmost shade of your crease is going to be. So first we're going to take this G18 Morphe brush, dip it into the shade Burnt, which is this kind of medium brown right here. And then again, you're going to go in the same general shape, but not nearly as far out as you went with natural and or Toast. So you kind of start, and you start lower because you don't want it to go all the way out. Because you want to work your way in from lightest to darkest. I know some people do darkest, like they start down here with like the really dark shade and then go out. I've never done it that way, and I don't plan on changing it anytime soon. But again, you want it to go in the same general shape. You don't want it to look too different. The bottom, it's not quite as important to keep it super far away from like the outside crease. I can go up a little further. But again, just kind of like this general shape. If you're having trouble blending out some of the darker shades as well, what you can do is you can do the same thing we did with the white, and just take the last shade you used and mix it with the dark shade, which in this case would be Toast mixed with Burnt. So I would just take these two and mix them together, which I'm going to just, it's not blending out, it's really this front area that's not blending out quite as well. That's just because I haven't gone over it very much. And that's the spot where it had the most shadow on the brush. You can see it's kind of blending out now. Again, you don't want the color to be too intense, especially out. You want it to stay fairly blended. And these shades are, the shadow is very blendable. So far, this whole palette has been fairly blendable. So the matte shades, I like the formula. And then we haven't tried the shimmer shades, but we will once we get to the lid of our eye. Great. And then the next part is, I usually with the second darkest shade, so the middle, which in this case is burnt, I use that shade to go underneath the eye. So using the same brush, we're just gonna go, I go close to the lash line, about halfway or a little further down the eye. And this is where I'll want to switch to a bullet blending brush, and you can use a lighter shade on it. Obviously the darker shade will just kind of cover this. And then I kind of move away from the lash line down just a little bit. I don't do anything crazy. Just kind of like that. So you see we have a little gap where we'll put some white in under the eye towards the end. But you can see it looks like this shadow has definitely intensified, but it's not showing up on camera very well, but it's definitely blending out with natural and toast down here to make it a bit lighter. Again, I've gone out a little bit too far. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe some of this off with my finger. You can see it kind of just takes out some of that intensity from that. Because I don't want it to go all the way out. I want it to be elongate the eye and bring it to a bit of a point, but I don't want it to go all the way to my hairline because that's just a little bit too far. Okay. You can see it looks nice. I've gotten into the habit of I map out both eyes and then finish one and then go back to the other. I don't really know why. Just kind of do. So now we're going to go into shade Chocolate, which is this really pretty chocolate shade of brown. So this is, I think, going to be the darkest one. Might decide that I want to put black in here. Don't know yet. We're just kind of going with it. So we're again going to take the same concealer that we used, that's by Too Faced, and then we're just kind of going to follow the general shape but not go too high up because we don't want to cut out anything that we've done. But I do like, so right here you can see it's a little bit too straight. I want it to be a bit more curved, so this is where you can really kind of correct the crease and make it the shape you want. I'm going to kind of go over that shadow and round it out a bit so that it matches the shape of everything else a little bit better. Like you can already see it's kind of a little more curved. I'm going to want to add a little bit more to that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use this shade Chance, which is a champagne sort of color, in that front half, and then we're going to be using 24 karat or 24K, which is this really pretty gold shade, in the other part. So again, more flat synthetic brushes or any sort of packing brush that you would want to use. So we'll go ahead, we'll start in the front, and we're going to use shade Champs. KimChi has also posted that she uses this as a highlighter, so I'm going to try that, which is why I haven't put on highlighter yet. And so that's about as far as I'm going to put Champs. You can see it goes out to about here. It is really high shine. That's really pretty. I'm interested to see how that will work as a highlighter. And so now I'm going to use this flat packing brush it's the more fluffy one. I usually prefer using this over like a flat concealer brush, but again, either one works. I'm going to go into this 24K shade, which is a really pretty gold. We're going to go in with the Diamond Shards, and I'm going to use Golden Gal and World Dominance, which is the golden holographic shade and the white holographic shade. And we're going to kind of go over the same sort of area. And we're going to grab another brush. This is a bit of a like fluffy angled brush. Let's see how this works. I don't use liquid eyeshadow very often. In fact, I can't really remember the last time I did. But this, oh god, that's so pretty. Ooh, that's really pretty. I'm going to grab another smaller fluffy angle brush. I'm going to put World Dominance, which is this white holographic shade, over Champs. So the next step is going to be liner, which is, I love the way it looks, but I hate doing it. So I use this e.l.f. cream eyeliner. I've had this for at least like 3 or 4 years at this point. I should probably throw it away, but I'm almost done with it, so I'm just going to use the rest of it. So any really like small, flat synthetic brush, you can use like a round tipped one. You can also use a chisel shaped one. If you're going to use a like gel or cream, oh my god, eyeliner all the way out to the wing, I would recommend using more of a small chisel shaped brush, but I will just kind of use the gel to fill in, and then the wing on both sides I use a liquid eyeliner because it is a little bit more precise. And then what I'm going to do is I do like this Kat Von D tattoo liner. This one is really old and it's pretty much dried out at this point, but I just haven't had a chance to go get another one yet. I'm hopefully going to be doing that soon, but I will just kind of draw on the wing. Like, it's fine most of the time. I think it's when it's just on powder for too long, it starts to dry out a bit. And I do pretty far wing as my first back wing. So again, I do 4 kind of wings or points, whatever you want to call them. I do 2 out and then 2 in. I don't really know if you can call the ones that go in wings. But again, I just kind of outline where I want this to. So that is the first wing. And then I go in and do the inner corner kind of area. I'll try and make it so you guys can see it, but I start right here where the tear duct is. And just kind of go in about right there. I don't know how well you can tell. And then I will just kind of connect that with the upper eyeliner. So what we're going to do is I will start by drawing a line under, and these points are not going to be nearly as thick or nearly as far as the other 2. You can see, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then there will be a 4th one underneath. And again, you can do your eyes however you want. I kind of just follow the shape that I put in with that shadow when I put it underneath the eye. And then I will bring it up to meet that other one. So this is where a lot of people would stop. I don't even think that they would really put that there. But then I like to go kind of out. And again, you can see it's a lot thinner, and I'm not going to bring it out nearly as far. This is a little bit thinner than I would normally do, so I'll just kind of build it up a little bit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and finish this eye, and then I will come back. Alright, so now that both of the eyes are done, normally I would kind of put some white in here and then halfway on the waterline. But since I'm going for a bit more of a soft, low-key kind of look, I think I'm just going to leave it the color it is right now. I am going to put a little bit of black kind of on the back part of my waterline. Just about right there. And then, I don't know if you can tell on camera, there's a bit of a gap, so I'll just go ahead and fill that in with some more black. So that's pretty much it for the eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to try this shade Champs as a highlighter, because it does seem very bright and it is a very pretty shade. So I'm just going to kind of put it right in here. Oops, that is actually really pretty. So it is very pretty. It's actually a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be. So this does actually work pretty well as a highlight shade. So I'm just going to hit up all the main spots that I put highlighter. Then as you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but my eyeliner came out different shapes on each eye, which again is why a lot of my hair is parted so that it's a lot heavier on this side to cover this side, because this side is the one I like. This is the side that so good. Next thing is lips. I am going to go grab a makeup wipe to get this foundation and all this off of my lips, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so as you can tell, just took a makeup wipe to kind of get rid of all the makeup that was caked onto my lips. Normally I don't take it off, but for some reason I just had a lot caked onto my lips. And this may seem a little counterproductive to what we just did, but I am actually going to go and put a little bit of this TV paint stick back on, because I want to give the lip liner and the lip gloss a fair chance at what pigment it's actually supposed to be. And I know I just took it off, but that's just because there's a lot of it caked onto my lips. So I'm just putting a really thin layer, and then again I'm going to set it like I have been with a little bit of that Coty Airspun powder. I think my plan is I'm going to use the shade Acai, if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, which is this kind of rose pink sort of shade. It's not too bright, it's not too dark, it looks very pretty. And then I'm going to use this lip pencil, which I believe it's from NYX, but I think the part that says the shade name and the brand name I have sharpened off because I do use this a lot. But again, it's a very similar kind of like rosy sort of color. So I'm just going to go ahead and outline. So you can see we have it outlined, and I'm going to fill in just a little bit, probably about a little over my natural lip with this pencil, just to make sure that it looks very seamless when we do put this gloss on top. So that's about as much as I'm going to kind of draw over. And then we're going to go in with this gloss. Again, I don't really use super pigmented glosses like this very often, but I'm going to give this a try just because it is part of the makeup line and see how I like it. I'm hoping it's not too sticky, and I'm hoping it's not going to look too crazy. So as you can see, this is a really pretty color. It's not sticky, which I'm really glad about because I don't like sticky lip glosses. It matches this lip liner really well. It's just a little bit lighter, which is what you want. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not going all the way around. I'm leaving a little bit of space between the liner and the gloss because you do want to leave a little bit of a darker color around the outside of your lip just to give it a little bit of depth. So as you can see, it's very high shine. It's not sticky. It's really pretty. I actually really like this, especially since I'm not really a huge fan of the highly pigmented glosses. Again, I usually use a lot of like liquid lipsticks with a bit more of a sheer gloss on top. So that's really it. All that's left is I'm going to go put on some hair, change my outfit, and then we'll come back and I'll do some final thoughts on this and just kind of show you the final look. Alright guys, so my final thoughts on this collection is overall I really liked it. I would recommend it if you're interested in buying it. I really love this palette. The matte shades are really, really easy to blend. They're really pigmented, and the shimmer shades are, again, really pigmented and very, very shiny, which I love. These Diamond Chart liquid eyeshadows are really pretty. They're easy to blend, they're easy to apply, and they're very shimmery. And again, these lip glosses, while I might not use them all the time, because again, I don't use super pigmented glosses like this very often, I would recommend these. These are very, very nice. They're not sticky. They're pigmented. They're really pretty, especially this one that I use on my lips. I think it looks really great. Alright, so if you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The links will be down in the description below. I'll also leave the link to the KimChi Chic Beauty website in the link down below. If you recreate this look, please tag me as well as KimChi Chic Beauty on Instagram or Facebook. And I guess I will see you in the next video.